Hey, thank you for tuning in. This is the Wood Stove Chats podcast presented to you by House Shows Direct. My name is BJ Kinney, and today on the show, I got to talk to Taylor Sims. He plays with his wife, Bonnie Sims. You can learn all about them at bonnieandtaylor.com. He also performs with his bluegrass band, the Taylor Sims Band. We had a deep dive conversation about his extensive experience within the music industry. Here's my conversation with Taylor Sims. Taylor Sims, thanks for making time for this, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I've been wanting to talk to you for a while. We haven't really gotten to know each other much.
Yeah.
Just kind of run into each other over the years.
Right.
But I've been seeing everything you've been doing. I saw, it was you guys used to do the Lagoon off a campus there. It was Bonnie and the Clydes.
Yep.
And I think that was the first time I saw you and Bonnie perform.
Cool.
When my kids were little, and yeah, just thoroughly impressed, and I've followed some of your stuff over the years, so
Nice, thank you.
I'm happy to be able to sit and get to know you a bit, man.
Yeah, likewise. I think my story is the same. You know, I've known about you for a while in the shows here, and it always looks like a riot every time I see something from bands that I'm friends with, people that I'm friends with, and they show clips or they talk about the parties and the hangs here. I'm like, man, that sounds like a time.
Oh, thanks,
something I want to be a part of.
Well, come be a part of it.
Yeah.
I'd love to have you.
Yeah, man.
So I wanted to kind of hop in a little bit with like some of your beginnings with music. I was reading that you started playing guitar when you were like 16.
Yep, started when I was 16
Okay.
years old, and I kind of started with a kind of by chance.
Uh-huh.
I was always into music. My parents were music lovers, and it gave me that start. And then when I was 16, I skipped school and I went to the nearest town of any size in Texas, Amarillo, and went to a pawn shop and was just cruising around. And I looked up on the wall and I saw this beaming white guitar on the wall, and I was like, I don't know what I've been doing with my life, but I need to buy that, and I need to learn to play. And I did that. I spent I think I had just barely enough cash in my pocket to buy it. It was $160, and so I bought it. And I vowed when I bought it that I would play guitar every day from then on out. And I have. And
Wow.
So it was a definitive moment, I would say.
Wow.
So
it's like 20 years straight of playing guitar every day, or what?
Ish. Pretty much. I mean, barring occasional like vacations or something when I can't take it with me. But if it's within walking distance, I'm playing guitar every day, and not so much like it's not because I have to. I say, oh, this is part of my routine. It's how I've shaped my life, and so there's always a necessity slash it's a need, and it's also a want, because I need to do it for work, so I will be learning songs or working on material or working on a writing or getting ready for a show. I do a lot of sideman stuff as well as my own music, and so prepping for that, or so it's always within arm's length, and I'm always playing at least a little bit. And then I went to music school too, so I got the bug and learned how to practice when I was in music school.
That was in Texas?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, South Plains College is what it was called. It's in Levelland, Texas, which is outside of Lubbock, kind of the southern plains or the southern end of the Llano Estacado, or the Panhandle of Texas. And so that's where I started. That's where I got my the jump for
Nice.
wanting to pursue music as a career. That's where
Cool.
I found it at first.
And you met Bonnie there?
I met Bonnie there. Yeah, it was my first, or excuse me, it was her first semester, and it was my last semester. And so we met and started playing music together, and we were both up for what did they call it? We were both up for an award, Female Vocalist of the Year and Male Vocalist of the Year, and we both won.
Wow.
And so we were booked to play this award show, and since it was the two of us, they wanted us to sing a duet or do something together. And I knew her. We had jammed a little bit, but that was when we first like spent time, just the two of us prepping for the show, and then was maybe a week or two later we started dating, and then it was history from there. So
good for you, man.
Yeah. It's and it's been now we've been married for almost 20 years. We're coming up on our 19th wedding anniversary, and so yeah.
Oh, good for you, man.
Yeah.
My wife and I have been together 21 years this summer, 18 years married, so
right there
we're right in there.
Yep. So what was that, 2008 y'all got married?
Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we were 2007.
Wow.
October 13th.
Yeah, that's kind of the period where you're like, you've been through enough fights and conflict, and you learn to resolve conflict. You figure out each other's weaknesses and strengths.
Oh yeah.
And you figure out like kind of what the make or break stuff, and then you finally get to the point where you're like, you know what, like we're stuck together, so let's just make this work the best we can.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. It's oh man, it's such a all those things, such a double-edged sword of existence, And she brought something up the other day, because as relationships go, it's hills and valleys and stuff, and so we go through periods where it's like it seems like a fight or conflict is like just right in the shadow, just right there, and then other times where we'll go like long periods where it's just great, and it's and we kind of recenter. But she said something that I thought was important. She was like, I think in these moments we need to remember that we are best friends. And I'm like, wow. Yeah, that's
damn.
That is powerful for sure. And of course, me being who I am, and always like trying to joke too much, I started using it, in in like the smallest of little disagreements, like, no, I don't want to eat there, or whatever it is, like we're running late or something. I'm like, hey, remember we're best friends. And she's like, that's not for this. So, but yeah, I mean, it's sharing our lives together is certainly not easy, but it's super rewarding too. We're like together. For the longest time we were together, day in and day out, like every hour of the day, working, living, loving, all of it. And now that's not the case, because we're both in various projects. She's in an awesome band called Big Richard, and they're super busy and crushing it.
Shout out to Big Richard.
Yeah, for sure.
Come play the Kinney Farm.
I bet they will. If they saw this place, they would. I'm sure they would vie for some kind of weekly residency.
I would love to. I would love to have them. And your new outfit.
Yeah,
it's just the Taylor Sims
band. Yeah, I mean, I'm at this point where it's new enough where I'm like, should it be Taylor Sims or should it be the Taylor Sims band? I can't really decide yet, so I don't think it really matters that much. But yeah, so I got the new project, and so we've been, we've kind of been like ships in the night, at least Bonnie and I, for the last, I mean, basically since Big Richard started, which was 2021, and so whenever that started and just took off like a rocket ship, I kind of had to
really took off.
Oh man,
I'm trying to think of the last like festival poster I saw without their name on it.
I know, and they're just like moving. They've been moving up the bill, up the lineup, and up the lineups, and man, they're doing so good. And I was there for the very first rehearsal. It was at my house, and like within, I don't know, maybe the second or third song, I had to interject, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but it has to keep going. It was so good. It was just like energy and chemistry from the get-go. It was awesome. Yeah. And it's maintained. They've been able, being in a band is fucking hard, and it's really, like, that's the hardest part about it, is the keeping, 4, 5, however many creatives together, down the road, in a van, in a bus, whatever, on stage, off stage. Yeah, all the things. It's really, really hard, especially when it's so strong, when there's so, 4 distinctive players that are so good. Yeah, and all 4 of them could lead their own bands and have and will, and all that. But yeah, so it's always inspiring to to sort of get to swim in the wake of that, because it's, man, I'm so blown away and so proud, and it's, yeah, it's always mesmerizing. I get to go to shows, and I get to like actually be a fan. You know?
I know what it's like to have a wife that's cooler and tougher than me.
I'd say it's a good place to be, man.
Exactly.
It's a good place to be.
And I'm pretty tough and cool.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
no, I mean, I like looking at what you guys have done over the years. It's really cool to see, I don't know, just like your talent together and separately,
Cool.
and see the projects you guys have done, and even like, I was just kind of doing a deep dive just the last couple days, looking at, what is it, Icy Red?
Icy Red, yeah.
Was that the one that got on a movie, right? It was like
That's
a
the one that got
soundtrack
in a movie, yeah.
a few years back.
Yeah,
right?
in 2020, that got placed in a Netflix movie called 365 Days, which was adapted from a Polish film. I mean, it was a Polish film, but it was adapted after, due to its popularity. So it was initially called 365 DNI, and then it blew up, I guess, on the Polish market, and then it got a deal with Netflix, and became more international, and so then it became 365 Days, and we had 2 songs that we had done with this just this sync licensing project back in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
We had been hired by the producer to record on it, and to sort of be the band, this like faux face of a faux band at the time, because in the sync licensing world, they like to have the image of a band, that it's an artist doing this thing, but a lot of times it's like these different projects and these collections from music directors and producers, and so they wanted us to be the face, and we were like, yeah, sure, whatever. I mean, as long as the check clears, whatever you want us to do. And this is in 2018.
Yeah.
And we never thought that it
What was that like when you found out, like, oh, this is going in the movie?
Well, they didn't tell us that it was
Okay.
going in the movie, because once with the sync licensing world, once you sign the deal, and the deals can be structured differently. Sometimes you own the entirety of the masters, and you have all the publishing. Sometimes you don't, and you just work it out with that. But essentially, it goes into their library, however large or small that library is, and then it's just in the stream. And so a music director will come and be like, I'm looking for a dark country thing, or I'm looking for a bluegrass thing, or I'm looking for, it could be a sound, or just a couple of notes or something. It's like
Like a feel.
Yeah, the library. Yes,
Yeah.
the libraries are crazy. They're vast, and some of them are very short. Some of them are long. Anyway, so once it got placed in the library, we were like, we never heard anything about it. We heard one time that it got placed in a trailer for some thing. It was just like 5 seconds of it, or 10 seconds of it. We're like, oh, that's cool. And we heard, the only way we knew about that is because we just happened on it on the internet. And Bonnie came across it, and she was like, that sounds oddly familiar. So she went back to it. She was like, oh, that's that song that we recorded back in 2018, and it was literally like 10 seconds. So we were like, oh, that's cool. And then
In the trailer.
Yep. But for the sync world, that's kind of how it goes. Like, you don't know. They don't notify you. There's no permissions.
You find out by
needed.
just coming across it.
Mm-hmm. So we just happened to cross that. We were like, that's interesting. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then that was probably 2019, and then 2020 in I guess it was late June 20, 28, 26, late June of 2020, and we got a call from the producer, and he was like, hey, something's going on with Icy Red. It went from like a few 100,000 streams on Spotify to 5 million, like in a matter of overnight. And
Wow.
and we're like, And so right about that time, the owner of the sync licensing company, it's a company called Extreme. So the owner of Extreme called our producer and was like, "Hey, I'm not sure what, but something's happening. Like these numbers are moving fast." And we're like, "Wow, this is crazy."
That's the first thing you see.
That's the first thing we see. And then the next,
the
very next day, we wake up and in all of our inboxes, email, text, Instagram, Facebook, and all of our messages was record labels being like, "Hey, congratulations on your success with IC Red. We'd love to have a chat. We'd love to sit down and talk about what your plans are for the future." And it was this real kind of sycophantic type messages, but it was like, this is wild. We've never in a million years being string band, bluegrass players thought that we would get these messages from all over the world. There was a record label from Turkey. There was somebody messages from Spain and Asia, and there was I think we got like 15 different record labels or promotional type entities that were reaching out to us.
Wow, that must have been overwhelming.
It was crazy, man. It was.
Were you more like excited or just like, whoa?
I was a little trepidatious. I was a little bit I was a little suspect because I was like, this is too fast. This is weird. This is heavy, and they wanted to meet. Oh, we'd love to schedule a meeting. We saw your TikTok or your song came across our TikTok, and we didn't even have a TikTok at that time. So we had to Bonnie had to get a TikTok to then start seeing it, and it was already trending, and people were already doing dances with it, and these like IC Red challenges and stuff. We were like, holy fuck, this is I don't know what's going on. And so we started, and that was literally in a matter of 48 hours. It went from like we hadn't thought about that song but briefly a year ago to now it's like fully consumed our world. And it was 2020, so we were locked down and we weren't playing gigs, and so it kind of came at very ideal time because we were just hanging out. We were like wondering when we were going to get back to work, if we were ever going to get back to work, and then all of a sudden this like flood of like the in our minds, like the upper echelon of the industry came knocking. Yeah. So it was wild.
And has that you feel like that's helped out your career then moving forward from there?
For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean it's given us a lot of it gave us a lot of kind of gave us a really quick schooling in how that version of the industry works, especially the sync licensing world, and then the major label world. Because like after it hit and we got all those messages, we started having almost hourly conversations with our producer and the president of Extreme, and then the another friend of theirs that's kind of in that world we started setting up all these meetings, started taking meetings with major record labels, with Columbia and Universal and Republic Records and all these things. In a matter of like 3 or 4 days, we were on Zoom calls for hours every day, chatting with them, chatting with record labels, trying to make a plan, trying to manage this,
and just learn about what is even happening.
Yeah,
it's probably like a fast track
what
education.
We're gonna do. Yeah, like so I was.
Dang, dude.
My initial thing was like, oh man, we're gonna need to lawyer up, and there's sharks in the water.
Yeah,
and we're that's what I thought. So I was calling anybody that I thought had some experience in this and trying to track down a lawyer and just trying to manage it all, because I thought it was really cool. It was certainly very it was a massive ego stroke, that all of a sudden you're getting all these calls and things that like in our wildest dreams we kind of envision that as musicians, of like getting the call from the major label and they want to meet with you,
Yeah.
And so that happened, and then you're trying to kind of I was trying to get my bearings, trying to make sure we didn't make a mistake or a misstep and set ourselves up for to fail or to be taken advantage of. That's what I thought. I thought that it was going to be
Yeah,
you know,
we're raked over the coals.
Yeah, yep. And because that's the picture that was painted to us from music school, but then also just you know, just in the world, we all, you know, we know what those major labels are out for, and they're not out for artists. They're out for their bottom dollar, you know.
Yep.
So we thought, and that was a misapprehension, because once we started getting into it, it's just like any other industry, sort of, where it's like they just want to work with people that they know, and it was a lot of handshake deals where it's like, hey, I know that, you know, you helped me on this project, so let's call this person in, and it was very refreshing, honestly, to start dealing in that side of the industry, and it wasn't all cutthroat and litigious.
Cool. Yeah.
So it was you know, and I'm sure that does exist. But in our experience with with this overnight like viral thing, I thought for sure we would just be, we'd fall prey. I thought for sure we would, because we're these little, you know, like, you know, bluegrass musicians, hayseed types that we don't know anything.
I mean, but it seems like you guys stayed persistent with like practicing and playing and growing as artists, you know, and I imagine something like that, you know, is like the perfect mix of like hard work, some skill and talent, persistence, good luck, timing, you know, because how else does that kind of thing happen?
I mean, that's exactly what it was. I mean, it was it was kind of like we didn't know we were ready for something like that, you know, but we were, you know, because you know, opportunity finds you working, you know, it doesn't just pop out of nowhere.
Yeah, if you're not there.
Yeah, if you're not showing up. Yeah. And we never, like, Bonnie and I, and any of the extensions of our career, like, we never set our sights on fame.
Good for you.
Or fortune, really. I mean, like, if those are byproducts, awesome. But we just wanted to make a living playing music and write songs and make records and connect with other musicians and like work for ourselves and not have to punch a clock, and you know that was the goal.
Yeah, it's refreshing to hear a success story there, because I talk to so many artists that are just grinding it out. I'm sure you guys are still grinding it out, but to just have that boost, you know, as not just like an affirmation of what you're doing, but you know, you get the recognition for all that hard work you put in. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it was certainly a
good job.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. It was we were lucky to have it, and lucky to be able to like kind of take it by the reins and run with it. And then it did lead to lots of other things, and since then we've continued the partnership with that producer. We've written and released, I think, 17 other songs under that Everybody Loves an Outlaw name, and we've played some shows. You know, we've gone out to LA and played the Troubadour and the Whiskey, and got to record at Village Studios, where, you know, Fleetwood Mac recorded Rumors, and you know, and like got to do some real hobnobby stuff that was really cool. But all the while, you know, having if this would have happened to us 2 or 3 years into our career, I don't think we would have been able to.
Yeah, you got to be ready for it.
You got to be ready. Yeah. And to just be able to like go out to LA and not have we didn't have stars in our eyes. You know, we were like, let's go see what this is all about, and put that line in the water and see if it catches another lunker. It did, you know, from the first recording session. We didn't know it would do that. You never know, but.
Hey everybody, my name is Elaine Holmes, and I run the Choice City Stomp in Fort Collins, Colorado. We have a very special music community in northern Colorado. The artists get that love. They get that vibe. We have a bunch of local artists that we love to get in front of people, but we have a lot of touring acts as well. One of our favorites is the Hoot and Hollers from Columbia, Missouri, Possessed by Paul James from Texas, Willie T. Taylor, California. But man, we are so blessed to be surrounded by musicians that are world class, but maybe not everybody knows who they are. usually held at the Swing Station. It's a small venue, so you're welcome in. It's a nice little honky tonk, lots of room for dancing, lots of spirits to be served. But it's mostly just us having a good time, gathering together, dancing with our friends, meeting new people. It's an exciting environment, and it's family meet family. That's what it feels like. We've got a scene going here, and it's a real cool scene. You should join us and find out about these unique and wonderful individuals.
But going back to early days, you did, because you was it Spring Creek was your bluegrass band?
Yep.
I was just reading this yesterday, and I was like, wait, what's going on here? Because it was 2007, you won Rocky Grass and Telluride back to back, and it's funny because I few interviews back, I had the Fretliners in, and I'm like, they're only the second people to have ever won that in the same year.
Yep.
In the back of my mind, I was like, I gotta Google who the other band was.
Yeah.
So when I was researching more of you, doing a little bit more of a deep dive, I'm like, oh shit, that was Taylor.
Yeah. That was
cool.
us. That was 2007, and it was.
That must have been wild.
It was wild. It was a big. Again, it was a big boost. Certainly helped us in that early phase, because we didn't. We all moved to Lions as a band in 2006, and
From Texas.
Yeah. And we had made our first album while we were down in Texas at music school. But we knew that Texas was, sort of a fallow field for bluegrass. Like, it's got a good music scene, but not for bluegrass. It's a dance state. So they like Western swing, and they like Texas country. They like, the Nashville style country. They like that kind of stuff. It's a two-stepping state. You're totally right. But they don't really dig bluegrass. Their fiddling is Western swing fiddling. Their fiddling is not bluegrass.
This is kind of like the heartland for it. I feel like,
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly like. Yeah. I mean, of the West, absolutely. I mean, it's like the gold rush of bluegrass out here. It's just, and it's if you're in a good bluegrass band, there's tons of work. So,
I mean, for me, it comes in waves. I love Colorado. I've been in love with it since I was visiting. My brother moved out in '99. I didn't move out here officially until 2011 in February, but I visited a lot. And I would just whether it's like Avos or, going up to the Mish or, just bopping around town, going to house parties, just been so blown away by the talent and the people. And I'm like, and even when I get sick of bluegrass, I give it a few months, and then I, have, Chris and the, Woodbelly guys, Fretliner guys, they'll just turn up and start jamming. And I'm like, I fucking love this shit, dude.
Yeah. It's for me, it's very easy to love. It's very easy to love, especially being a player. And because I didn't grow up playing bluegrass. It wasn't until I got to college that a friend of mine gave me a couple of bluegrass records. Gave me a John Hartford record. That was the first John Hartford record, a Yonder Mountain String Band record, and a Sam Bush record.
Oh, that's a great mix of records.
And she was like, "You need to check this out." And I was just floored. I was 18, and I'd never heard anything like it. And and looking back, I was like, I didn't know that it changed my life until looking back. Like, that was very definitive, because once I started listening to that, it was like then it was on to Tony Rice, and on to the older stuff, Flat and Scruggs and Monroe and Seldom Seen and Country Gazette and all these other bands that then, that sort of tumbled down. And then I just ran into people that played it, and then I was like, well, I play guitar. I wonder if I could learn to play.
Why not?
To play this, and so I did, and then it's now it's been.
Well, you have quite a few playing styles. I feel like I've seen you do some kind of finger picking blues style, just straight up electric guitar, some rock, some country, some bit of mix of everything.
Yeah. I try to keep it. I guess I have a short attention span, I guess, sometimes for stylistically, and I listen to a lot of the roots music styles and the roots music guitar players, and my favorite guitar players are more in that kind of rock / Americana realm, you know, Mark Knopfler and J.J. Cale, Tony Rice, of course, you know.
Love J.J. Cale.
Oh, man. I was just listening to him on the way home.
I found an old Troubadour record.
Oh,
like
dude, that one is, that one's the best. Dude.
Yeah.
That's his first one.
Yeah.
That's
my one record. I'm like, touch the edges, don't touch it.
That's an amazing one. Yeah, man. That was, I listen to that a lot of times when there's like a certain mood of life that that one feels such a specific niche. But I was just listening to him yesterday on the way back from the San Luis Valley, and man,
cool.
I could just listen to any of his stuff. And so, but to your point, I've always listened to a bunch of different styles of basically like roots guitar. So of course, flat picking, bluegrass guitar, finger picking. I was always a big Chet Atkins fan, and Jerry Reed is a hero. So I started playing that when I was in college, and I had a mentor who was really big into that stuff. So I got a early exposure to that, and then I started getting, after Spring Creek ended, and I started playing more electric guitar. I started getting calls to be lead guitar player for a country band or a country rockish band or that kind of thing. And then so I started developing chops for that, and always was just very interested in all those styles of guitar. And so it was always I'm always like hearing things. I'd like to learn that solo from whoever, Albert Lee or JJ or or Tony or so I try to keep it diverse. In that.
Seems like you've been pretty smart too, just not getting gobbled up by the music industry, or have you had times where you've gotten pretty like disheartened or like tired of it, or just like seen some ugly stuff?
For sure.
I imagine touring.
Oh yeah. Oh man. After Spring Creek, because we were on tour for really like 8 years, pretty solid. We were playing like 100 to 150 dates a year, lots of van time, lots of miles, driving out to the southeast and the West Coast, all over the West, and we weren't the most healthy of bands. We were young, and we didn't really know how to take care of each other or ourselves, and so it got hard. And there was definitely times in that where it was like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't know why. I don't know how many times, like the end of a tour, the end of a night, and I'm just like out in the alley, and I'm just like, what am I doing out here? Why am I doing this? I don't have to do this. I mean, it's fun and I'm good at it, but like, I also, I also have other interests and other things that I've done, and I've always worked. I've always done, had like work in the trades, and I grew up in the rural farm life, and so I was always, I worked on farms, and that was in my family, and I just came from a long line of hard workers, and so
good work ethic.
And so when I would have those existential crises, I'd be like, I should do something else. It's unstable. It's hard to make money. It's really easy to be forgotten, and it's just an uphill grind, man. It's just nothing but pushing rocks up the hill constantly. And especially playing string band music, playing what a lot of people deem as unpopular music. It's hard to make a living, and it's popular in little in pockets, and it's wonderful here, but man, you go to some places and it's harder. And, so I've definitely had moments of disillusion and thinking like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to like sleep in my bed every night. I want a steady paycheck. I want those kind of things. But every time I do those things, I have a stint where I try that out. I always come, I find myself at that same sort of crossroads, but I just get there a lot quicker. After a matter of weeks of thinking I'm going to turn away from music, within a matter of weeks, I'm like, why?
Yeah.
What am I doing? This is what I was meant to do, for better or for worse, you know.
I had a buddy that always used the term roots and wings. He'd be like, you gotta have roots, you gotta have wings.
Yeah.
You know, if it's too much of one or the other, you get tired of what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and I mean, like, really, I'm just a diehard music fan. I love musicians, the music they make, and I, you know, it does make me sad when I see artists just like get disheartened or taken advantage of, or get lost, you know, on the road or with addiction, you know, stuff like that. And kind of I started to see a lot of that with, you know, friends that are musicians, and that's like what I try to do here is be kind of like a respite, you know, from the road, where they can still come perform or sit and do this.
Sure.
But you know, when a lot of the touring artists that I have come through town stop and stay, I'm like, hey, how are you doing?
Huh.
You know what I mean? Like, what do you need? You know, I'm not going to put a bottle of whiskey and a slice of pizza and try to keep you up till 5. If you want to do that, I'll do that with you. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
But like, do you need a shower? Do some laundry? You need to just vent. You just need some peace and quiet, like nobody to bug you. Like, I'll make sure nobody's around here for the next 2 days, and you can, you know,
that's so
sit
cool.
and put some records on in the barn, or, you know, once I got the wood-fired sauna going, I'm like, you can do a sauna. You know what I mean? Like, it's
man.
Because I just, you know, I think that it's really important to treat artists like athletes and realize, like, you know, what they're going through, and you know, because so many people want to corner them at a show and talk their face off, and it's got to get old.
Oh man,
just the grind.
It gets old. Old, and it's like it's a very emotional, draining job. You know.
Yeah.
Especially that thing, like, you know, people after the show, and they want to talk to you and they want to connect, and that's great, and I love doing that, but it's hard. It's like you just end up like parceling out yourself all the time, and then if you isolate, you're seen as aloof or an asshole or, you know, untouchable or egotistical, and then but if you're too available, then you end up like running your tank dry constantly, and then you burn out, you know, and then you find yourself like at the end of a tour or during a tour, and you just, you know, it's really easy to fall prey, and it takes it's like a skill just to stay in that mode of taking care of yourself, know, doing what's good for you, and what sustains your career, and then what sustains your life in general. It's hard, man. It's a hard way to make a living, but it's great. It's super. I don't want to give the impression that it's not amazing.
Yeah, but like self-care is important. And being able to like check in with yourself and the people you're with, you know, your bandmates and stuff. You know, I just, it makes me sad that so many musicians, you know, again, get lost, you know, with burnout and addiction, and just kind of like lose their way with this amazing thing that they have to offer the world. And that's a big part of what I'm trying to do, is like advocate for artists and kind of teach other people about it, and really, you know, also like help make the pie bigger, you know, because the pie shrunk after Napster came out. It was like like record album CD sales peaked in like 99, and then by 2006 it was just dead. Yeah. You know, and then artists are like, okay, the album sales landscape has changed, and so what I started to see with like the house show scene, you know, and kind of more DIY stuff, and then independent venues, you know, like the Mishawaka, for example. It's like people actually looking out for artists, you know, while so many, like you were saying, sharks just coming in and gobbling them up. But, you know, I think it's really important to, you know, for people to realize, like, there's a lot they can do, you know, like with the house show scene. It's like, you have an artist come and play for 30 people, they throw down $20, they make $600, they got a place to stay, a little peace and quiet, people actually checking on them. Hey, how you doing? What do you need? Oh, you need space? Here's some peace and quiet. I think that can go a long ways in the middle of a tour.
Oh man,
you know?
There, you know, house shows or shows like what I imagine, what you're, you know, telling me that you're up to. It's like it's the best when you're on the road and you have a place that, you know, people are going to be there, and they're there for a reason, and they're psyched, and you're not having to do the rigmarole, pulling your hair out trying to sell tickets in a new market. You know, it's I like to think, and I'm certainly very hopeful, that the house show model is more of the future of what's going to keep the artists and the listeners, artists and audience, like connected to one another. And so was I got a question for you. Was this did this start as like a unified vision for you? Did you have that in your mind that you were going to build something like this, or did you just always have that artist focused mind?
I guess I don't know. I mean, it's kind of evolved over the years. I guess I've always come from a place of like loving people and their stories and the human experience, and then as a teenager, like finding punk rock and playing in punk rock bands, and then getting into different versions. You know what I mean? Like there's the music, but for me, it's really the people and their stories.
Yeah.
You know, and the wins and losses and suffering and supporting each other, and like I grew up in a big family, and I just I don't know, like it with what I've been doing here with the house shows. I wasn't just like, oh, I'm going to start their own house shows. It was like, oh, I've got some friends that are looking for a show. We'll host something in the barn. This started 10, 11 years back. My wife and I were actually building out this space, finishing it up. This was like a pig barn. We're scraping shit off the floor. We're like, let's just fix it up as like a nice little place. And literally as we're fixing it up, we were cutting out these windows over here and had pulled the windows we put in there like out of a dumpster, and we're like installing them. And I go, gosh, wouldn't it be cool to have like live music in here? And my wife's like, yeah, that'd be cool. And I'm like, oh, maybe we get Charlie Parr. And she just laughs at me, And then I think it was 2021. We're sitting here and Charlie Parr's sitting in here playing. I'm like pinching myself,
dude. That's great, man.
Yeah. So it's been a thing where I really care about the artists and the people, and I just love music. I'm a music fan, selfishly. Like I love to sit 5 feet from somebody and a 50-foot walk from my house and crack a beer and watch some of my favorite artists, And then I love going, it's cool because it provides a bit of a contrast when I go to shows, big productions, at the Aggie or Washington's or Mishawaka or even Red Rocks. I'm like, this is a whole different experience. I appreciate the whole spectrum of it, and I've always done it in a way where, like, when people ask me, how did you do this? I'm like, I don't know. I just, think about like when you would build a blanket fort and you'd be stoked about it, and then you'd have your buddies over, like you build a fort, you hang out with your friends, and then like cool shit happens from there. Yeah. And I've always done it in a way where I make it intentional, and I'm like, these are the things I want to accomplish with it, and then these are the things I have to get out of the way and like allow this canvas to be painted, and so I've always kind of as I've watched it play out, I'm like, I guess I'm kind of like an artist of circumstance, where I know when to get out of the way and let the artists step in and do their thing, and leave this open space to be filled with, I don't know what's going to happen. Sure.
Well, I mean, you're an artist, no doubt. That's the talk of an artist, when you,
thank you,
you can get out of the way and let something beautiful happen. I mean, that's and be more of a conduit. I mean, like that's how I see art, mine or otherwise, is like it's more out there than it is. We're just gathering it, or we're like we're the magnifying glass that focuses that energy, that comes through and then puts it on the ant hill.
Yep, exactly.
And, but because it's I love the intention of it, and it's cool to hear, because house shows really do move the needle in a very real way, in a very I'd say a spiritual and existential way. Mm-hmm. Because as things do get harder, and it's only getting harder for everybody, but artists are always at the vanguard of like the changing of the times. We're the canary in the coal mine of sorts of changes in the economy and changes in the world. Because it's extra. It's a luxury item for people to have some extra dough to spend on a concert or a record or come and do a show, and like that's extra stuff. That's not.
Yeah.
Even though it would be in a there's a romantic way to look at it, be like it's a necessity. Yeah, it is, and art is a necessity, but art commerce is not a necessity. And they're kind of counter to one another.
Yep.
And they sort of butt heads with each other constantly, and that's why that's why we're kind of in the situation we are.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, the only within that, like the only necessity that I see art serving is actually like the need for people to feel. We have life experiences and trauma or whatever, and we kind of don't realize we're sort of burying stuff, and then suddenly you hear a song and you feel like it's about you, or you feel like it's, it pulls something out in you, and suddenly you're like, I didn't know I needed to express this.
Yeah.
And you maybe you're dancing, or you're crying, or you're just laughing, smiling, whatever it is, it draws out emotion that you maybe didn't even know was sitting in there waiting to come out. That can turn to bad things.
Yeah.
It can turn into a lot of turmoil and suffering if you don't have the opportunity to let it out. And that's what I love about the whole thing. You know what I mean? Just the struggles I had as a kid and my family, and things that I didn't realize like really scared me at the time, and I just went into myself, has been like extracted and pulled out through the experiences of other artists' songs. And when it hits me, I'm just like, oh my, like I need this.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't need it like food or water or shelter, but it's a whole nother like dimension of human fulfillment that you don't realize exists until you experience it.
Honestly, that's how I felt when I walked up in here in this onto your little Eden here. It like it has that vibe of like, man, I didn't know what to expect. I had an idea from the footage that I'd seen, but I had no idea it was like this, and it feels very similar. At least it strikes that same kind of chord. Like I didn't know what this was. I didn't know really it was here, and I didn't know that I needed to experience it. It's got it's vibe for days, and like I would I know why artists, why you've been able to collect artists that come here and think it's awesome. I mean, that's all. It's sort of just getting to know you better now. I mean, it reeks of your personality just from the brief little walk around. But
thank you. Yeah, it means a lot, and it is important. Like you're saying there, I've had a lot of experiences in my life where whether I'm at some cool homestead farm, or again hearing music or seeing some amazing art, we all need those little moments in life where we're like, oh, people are doing cool shit.
Yeah.
Like you can do this. People are doing this stuff.
Yeah.
And like, oh, maybe I should try something out that I've been a little bit scared to do, and kind of come out of myself a little bit more. And I've had the blessing of getting to see things like that in my life where I'm like, whoa. Like so humans are doing cool shit.
Did you see? Is there one thing that you could point to as like that was very, very inspirational in terms of like a place like this?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say like a direct model of this. I mean, like one of my best friends growing up had a farm, and they had a tree fort and a half pipe. And as a kid, I just remember running and playing. It was the Vijamil farm, and I just remember feeling like fully like a kid, like a child. Where I could just like, it was just so much fun. So I think bits and pieces of that as I had, my sons, I'm like, I kind of want to recreate a little bit of that experience for them, and
that's
then, going to cool places and seeing music, whether it's at farms or little DIY shows, stuff like that. So that kind of that gets incorporated, and then just, building cool shit, working with repurposed materials, going to, some farms. And we were living on the roads. There was this one farm, this homestead where it was 165 acres in Washington, and they like made all their own wine and beer and harvested, like had the gardens. And like we stayed there for about a month when we were living on the road when the kids were little. And we didn't leave for an entire month. We went to the store once, but we ate, drank, just existed there, and I was just so inspired by this whole thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, like people are living like this.
Yeah.
You know, and they had like
This was you as an adult?
yeah, when I was in 2010.
Okay.
We traveled for a full year from 2010 to 2011 with the intention of moving here if we didn't find a cooler place. We almost ended up in Bellingham.
That's a cool spot.
Yeah, it's a cool spot. And my wife's from England, so she loved like the seaside vibe, you know, but Fort Collins just felt right. And so we ended up here and like, all right, well, let's get started on this thing one piece at a time and see where it goes. And, you know, and I'm just, you know, and so I feel really blessed to even be able to do it. And that's why we share it with the community. And we have these, you know, private functions, but we invite our friends, family, and friends of friends. And, you know, I love it. Like when we're doing a house show and somebody rolls up in a wheelchair from the facility up here, you know, and because they hear the music and we invite them in, and they're not gonna, like they're, you know, in their 80s, you know, with cancer at a, you know, one of these facilities, they're not gonna go down to a venue,
Right.
And suddenly they roll in and they get to see this music. Or little 2-year-olds running around,
Right.
You know, so I love.
I mean, that's
sharing
the
it.
huge. That's one of the greatest things about it, about house shows, is because there's so many people that want that live music experience, but they don't want to go to a bar, they don't want to go to a venue, they don't want to, you know, you know, they don't want to, can't afford to do it for any number of reasons, not just financially, you know, like they just, and it's a special thing, and it creates or it sets the spot for different types of music, different interaction between the audience and the stage, because there's at those bigger venues, there's not always, I don't want to say that, but there tends to be a built-in separation from artist to audience, whether it be physical with the size of the stage, like at Red Rocks, you know, you're separated, and you can see. I mean, if you're down even on the first GA rows, you're still separated, you know, and then there's also like the sort of contrived or the built mystery between artist and audience, you know.
Yeah, it does create kind of this cool, like, godlike thing with those shows, but then if it's suddenly you catch somebody at a more intimate venue, you're like, oh, they're not a god. This is just a human. This is amazing. We're actually maybe a little bit alike, you know?
And you strip away the big production, and you can actually, like, feel their humanity, or, like, see them make a mistake, or, you know, I mean, if you're lucky enough, that's what... I love seeing my heroes make mistakes.
Oh, me too.
You know, it's the best.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And really, like, the whole thing, and this is a part of the reason I'm really trying to connect more with, especially like independent venue owners, because there's a place for all of it. You know, Danny Grant's going to come on the show next Thursday, which I'm so stoked to learn more about her and get to know her more.
She's amazing.
She's like a model person for this, and I admire so much what she's done over the years. But really, it's kind of opening up that conversation a little bit. Like, these are not competitive markets. This is one thing that can help to make the pie bigger and even alleviate the pressure on some of these venues to do more, because they can only do so much. Again, they got a bottom line. They're trying, you know what I mean? Like, that's got to be a grind running a venue, you know. And and if artists can fit in a few like house shows and stuff like that, and you know, and they're not just stuck at dive bars. Dive bars are great too. You know, I think there's a place for all of it. But if we can all kind of work together to have this conversation and put the whole thing together, the better off the artists are, the better off everybody within the industry is. And again, it's transforming the landscape, the performance landscape.
Yeah.
Because that's the only place we can work now.
Yeah.
You know, and I just, you know, I know I didn't come up with any of this. This is, house shows have been happening forever. I just kind of realized, like, oh, I have something to offer here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to jump on this wave and ride it and contribute what I can, you know, and enjoy it. And, you know, I don't, you know, as I move forward with what I'm doing, I'm like, I hope I can make a living at it someday. But I don't want to do that unless I'm benefiting the artists themselves. You know, it's got to be a win-win. Otherwise, I don't even want to fuck with it.
Yeah.
You know, so...
Well, that's
we'll see where it goes.
That's good. That's a good thing. That's certainly.
Yeah. but back to you. So what's next? You got the Taylor Sims band. You've got an album.
I've got an album that I'm working on right now. It should be out if I can keep the ball rolling. It'll be out in October. Is what I'm shooting for. I am hoping to release the first single on June 18th, which is my birthday, my
Cool.
42nd birthday.
Nice.
And I will be, I am competing in the Telluride Troubadour competition that same weekend. So I'm trying to drop the first single that weekend, and hopefully win that competition as well.
You can do it.
And well, I think I can. I mean, I have to believe that I'm going to.
And your bandmates right now, I know C-Bob, right? He's one of them. He's a funny guy.
Yeah, I love him.
Amazing banjo
I
player.
was on the phone with him on the way up here.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
who else?
So Dylan McCarthy on mandolin,
Yep.
who plays in Jake Leg and a few other projects, and then Bradley Morse on bass.
Cool.
And he was formerly of the Gasoline Lollipops, and he does a bunch of other area projects. Fantastic bass player. Him and I have been musical comrades for almost 10 years now, and so I'm so lucky to get to play with them. They're incredible. They're inspirational, and they really give my songs a lot of life that I didn't. I mean, I knew that there's I can kind of see. I can see a song for what it is, but until I hear them play it, I don't know what they're going to bring, and they always bring the goods. And it's so that's the band, and I'm playing a lot with this gal Madeline Hawthorne. I play lead guitar in her band, so we've got a summer full of gigs and tours. We're actually playing at the Mish tomorrow night,
Nice.
opening up for Old Crow Medicine Show, and doing a weekend run with Old Crow, and so that'll be fun.
Cool.
That'll be a big hootenanny, I'm sure, and I'll get to play wagon wheel and
There you go.
and with the original,
Hell yeah,
so
Hell
so yeah, and then some of the gigs Bonnie and I are playing a little bit, and trying to find the pockets, but yeah, I'm kind of nose down on trying to get this album done. I've been writing a lot. I'm in kind of the first writing hot streak of my life, so to speak, and so I'm trying to
In your prime.
trying to ride it, trying to get on.
Nice.
I'm on the board, and I'm trying to ride it
Nice.
as long as I can,
How can people that are watching follow you, keep track of what you're doing, check out your stuff?
So you can follow me on Instagram is the best place, and that's Taterskins is my Instagram handle, and Facebook, obviously. Bonnie and I have a website, bonnieandtaylorsims.com, and so that's and that has a lot of updates for other stuff. But yeah, Instagram
Cool.
is the best at this moment. And I'm in the process of building out the website, but I'm not there yet. Working on the album first, so that's where, and social media is king, unfortunately.
Yep. Got to use it for the tool that it is.
That's right.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for doing this.
Yeah,
I really
thanks for having
appreciate
me,
you
BJ.
coming on. You got a song for us?
I do.
All
I
right.
sure do.
Cool. Let's get set up and do that,
Okay.
dude. I appreciate you so
Yeah,
much.
thanks, BJ.
Thank you,
That was
Taylor.
awesome.
Hell yeah, dude.
Very fun. All the mud in the Mississippi, all the wind out on the plain, all the gold in Colorado, and every drop of rain. Nothing hurts as much as no one, nothing cuts quite like the shame, nothing hides the tears I cry like every drop of rain. Let it fall to the river, let it fill the ocean deep and wide, so I can row this tired vessel over to the other side. Hear the song of the coyote under the wings of a sandhill crane. I pray just like my fathers did for every drop of rain. Every page in broken promise, history will bear the stain. The clouds they dream to wash us clean with every drop of rain. Let it fall to the river, let it fill the ocean deep and wide, so I can row this tired vessel over to the other side. There's love across the water, no hope is cast in vain. If we can come together like every drop of rain. The gathering clouds out in the west hold the winds of a coming change. The flood of revolution needs every drop. Let it fall to the river, let it fill the ocean deep and wide, so I can